105.3 FM.
Management or advertisers, and do not represent an offer to buy or sell any securities. Some interviews heard on this program may be sponsored by the participants. It's time for Health Futures with Cypress HomeCare Solutions, Bob Roth. This is Arizona's only show dedicated to providing you with expert advice on how to live a longer, healthier, and happier life. To learn more, call 602-264-8009. That's 602-264-8009. Now, here's your host, Bob Roth.
Good afternoon. You're listening to Health Futures. I'm your host, Bob Roth, and it is Friday, March the 3rd, and we're coming at you live from the Scottsdale Air Park at Money Radio, 1510 AM, 105.3 FM, and the World Wide Web, moneyradio1510.com. It's hard to believe that we're already into March. March is just rolling in, and if you live here in Scottsdale, Arizona, you're probably enjoying the weather, and you're also enjoying the traffic. We've got a lot of people here right now for spring training, and I got out to a game earlier this week, and this is really a great time of year, a great rite of passage, and for us Phoenicians, we're really hopeful for the Arizona Diamondbacks. Maybe this might be their year. Well, if you tuned in last week, you heard a tribute show. I don't do very many of those. I did a tribute show to a special friend of mine that we lost a little more than a year ago. His name's Michael Zent. Michael Zent is the former CEO and president of Jewish Family and Children's Services, provide an incredible service here into our community, whereby they are a social service organization helping nearly 50,000 people a year in many, many different ways, from foster families to geriatrics and more. Next week, I have Jewish Family and Children's Service on, so it will not be a best of, but Michael, you are missed, and we think about you very often. So let's get on to today's show. If you're just tuning in for the very, very first time, this is called Health Futures. Health Futures is about how our older adult population can live a healthier, happier life. And your host is me, Bob Roth, and me, as well as my family members. We own a home care agency here in the Valley, whereby we enable our older adult population to be able to stay at home. And truly, when you survey older adults, and I'm talking about people 65 and older, 92% want to age in place. And we afford them that opportunity by hiring and employing, and the optimum word is employing, and these are employees of ours that make a difference in someone's life. They are an extra pair of hands, they're an extra set of eyes, feet, you name it. And what they do, and the optimum word, is they assist. And that's the word. We assist so many here in our community to be able to age successfully in place. We assist them by getting dressed in the morning. We assist them maybe with bathing or toileting. We assist them with meals, and we assist them with transportation. So if you know of somebody that might need some extra assistance, please give them a call at 602-264-8009. And I'm going to give another shout out to caregivers. Caregivers are a special breed, and if you happen to be listening, or if you know of somebody that has that kindness in that heart, someone that wants to make a difference in someone's life, is a passionate yet compassionate person, have them call Cypress. We are looking for those type of individuals that want to be able to give and assist those individuals that need that extra assistance at home. Again, call 602-264-8009. So let's get on with the show. I've got a studio full of people here, and some that, are let's put it this way. I twisted their arms to put their headsets on, but you know what? I'm going to go around the room and just introduce everybody. I've got sitting to my right across from me, is Dick Fisher, a friend that I just met, and he feels like, to me, a brother from a different mother. So welcome to the show, Dick.
Thank you very much.
Great to have you on.
Thank you.
And just to your right, my left, is Sharon Pfeifer. Sharon, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Good to have you on.
Thank you.
And just to her right and my left is Gerry Ciszewski. And Gerry's somebody I've known for a few years. He's in the banking world, but he's going to contribute to aging today. So welcome to the show, Gerry.
Hey, thank you, Bob.
Good to have you on. So, you know what, Dick, it's really good to have you here on the show. And for me, guests make this show. Because, you know what, Health Futures is about how our older adults can live a healthier, happier life. And for me, first of all, you and I talked yesterday, the whole concept of health care is broken. I mean, it is really sick care. It's not health care. The Affordable Care Act, it's broken. You are a healthcare veteran, and you've seen a lot out there. And I know we're going to be coming up on a closure on our first segment, but, you know, I wanted just to real quickly say to you or ask you, where do you see healthcare going? Man, is that a loaded question.
It's a very loaded question. I've been in healthcare for over 40 years, from the manufacturing and production side of pharmacy and to the operational side of generic and over-the-counter drug manufacturing, to running the first cancer initiative with General Motors and Chrysler. And I've always been on the acute care side. I've owned several multidisciplinary medical practices, and I'm a banker and a healthcare executive. And quite candidly, over the 40 years, I've probably been in 7,000 hospitals. And more importantly, as we have gone through the process of our own family issues, I have discovered that I've been in the acute arena my whole life and not in the long-term care side of it. And it is an eye-opening experience when you have someone so dear to you in your family that really needs your help. And my background really was so far from that. You put your trust in the caregiver provider side, and really we are really uneducated from the healthcare side. And I think overall, the new paradigm for us as we get older is to make certain we have a understanding of the banking, the legal accounting, but we must pay more attention to the caregiver side. And that process we can talk about and how I see it going forward from a personal point of view and from a finance and executive point of view.
You know, it's interesting because one of the things you mentioned to me yesterday, and we talk a lot about here on the show, is people don't adequately plan. And planning is so important. And let's face it, this isn't sexy. Getting older is not something that, you know, we all relish, but we all know we're going to get there. But if you don't have a plan, it's like that old adage, if you fail to plan, then you plan to fail. I mean, you really need to start thinking about these things. And I think one of the greatest things, and doctors talk about this all the time, the internet is a great resource, but it's very complicated. And if you get a diagnosis, many of them tell you don't go on the internet because it's going to tell you a lot of bad things. But as a consumer, I really believe that there's nobody better to take control of your own health care than yourself. I mean, you've got to go out there and find the resources. You've got to navigate through that because you can't just rely on one person telling you what you should do. And I think too many people, and I mean no disrespect to those clinicians out there that are professionals, too many people say, you know, the doctor told me to do this, and that's what I'm doing.
Well, I think you hit it on the head. We owned 4 multidisciplinary medical practices in the northern suburbs of Chicago, and the coordination of care really began with the primary care physician. And the primary care physician today is really key in quarterbacking your care. But we as business folks and people that have businesses and operating businesses, we have pro formas and accountants and lawyers, and we strategically plan these business programs year after year. Yet if you evaluate and ask these executives and the people that work in those companies, what have you planned for the future for your health care and the potential of a caregiving requirement, they look at you like you've lost your mind. You can spend all this money on cars and homes and you don't give it a second thought, yet when a caregiver is required, you want to whittle it down and take shortcuts when you really need to have the equivalent of a primary care physician taking care of you.
Exactly. And I know we're up against a break here, but, I want to just point out something we'll pick up on in the second segment. People buy homeowners insurance. They buy car insurance, automobile insurance. They buy life insurance. And, they think they have the protection. But I'm going to tell you, like I told you yesterday, I've got care recipients that are spending upwards to 6 figures every single year, and that's with after-tax dollars. If you haven't planned, it's going to break you, literally break you. So we need to do a better job of getting that message out there and helping people be prepared for the inevitable.
I agree.
You're listening to Health Futures. My engineer, James, is using a little Coldplay taking us out. No, thank you, James. It is Friday, March the 3rd. We're coming at you live from the Scottsdale Air Park, and I've got Dick Fisher, Sharon Pfeifer, and Gerry Ciszewski here in the studio today. We'll be right back.
Today in Wall Street, markets are down big. CEOs and business owners are in full panic mode.
That's because they don't know where to buy quality, affordable office furniture. Markets West is the answer. Whether your office is large or small, you always get excellent service and great prices at Markets West. Locally owned and operated for over 38 years. Their experienced staff meets with every customer to help design and deliver the perfect office environment for you and your staff at an affordable cost. From desks and executive chairs to cubicles and reception area furniture, they have everything for your office furniture needs. Want to save even more? Mention Money Radio and get wholesale pricing. Markets West Office Furniture, your source for new and used office furniture. Visit them online at marketswest.com. That's markets with an S, west.com, or call 602-275-2226. Save time and money. Call 602-275-2226 today.
If you've ever thought about investing in real estate, but you haven't because you just aren't interested in the typical hassles and headaches of real estate, then don't touch that dial. For over a decade, Investment Property Experts has been helping investors take advantage of the growing Metro Phoenix real estate market through a unique offering of turnkey real estate investment services. Investment Property Experts eliminates the hassles and headaches by providing a full inventory of single-family homes that are fully renovated and occupied with tenants. IPX manages the property for you during the time you own it, and when the time comes, they can help you get it back on the market and facilitate the sale, all at no additional cost to you. And if you'd rather not purchase and own investment properties, Investment Property Experts offers a 9% return through deed of trust investment programs. Real estate market conditions in Phoenix have never been better. And with Investment Property Experts on your side, you'll be able to diversify into profitable real estate investments right from day one. Investment Property Experts, your true one-stop shop for real estate investing success. Get started by visiting azipx.com.
Mattress Firm is collecting donations to help local foster kids pay for extracurricular activities. Bring your donation to a participating Mattress Firm or donate online at mattressfirmfosterkids.org.
Now back to Health Futures, taking stock in you. If you have questions about your own or your loved one's future health care, call 602-264-8009. Now, here's your host, Cypress HomeCare Solutions, Bob Roth.
Welcome back. You're listening to Health Futures. I'm your host, Bob Roth. We're on segment number 2, and if you just missed the first segment, I've got Dick Fisher, I've got Sharon Pfeifer, and I've got Gerry Ciszewski here in the studio. You can catch our first segment right up on our website at cypresshomecare.com, and click on that radio button. You'll catch that. And you also catch about 150 shows that we've been bringing to you now for 4 years. So if you missed that first segment, I kind of left off talking to Dick, who, I'm going to focus a lot of my attention with Dick Fisher today because he's a healthcare maven, which is known as a healthcare expert. He's got a number of different years. He's quite a pedigree, and I'm learning so much from you in the last 24 hours. And I know I have a lot more to learn. But we were talking about how, people don't really plan, and they don't plan for this inevitable. And I talked about at the break, life insurance, health insurance, automobile insurance, boat insurance, all those things. But no one is really expecting to have needing home care and needing a caregiver. I often use the analogy about getting hit by a bus. What happens if you get hit by the bus? And I'm going to tell you, 80 to 90% of the time, you're not going to die. You're going to live, but you're going to be living with complications, and you're going to need care. And how do you pay for that care? And that's a big challenge, Dick. It really is. And it's a big challenge in the acute and post-acute settings because they don't really understand what we do. And I'm talking about in-home care providers that help people maintain their existence and live out their life and maybe heal and get better and no longer need our services.
Well, I think the paradigm and the parallels of history really often help us go forward because there's rarely very few innovations over 50 or 100 years. They're just hybrid programs of what took place. But in the mid-'70s, home health care was a foreign word to the hospital marketplace. A discharge planner was a foreign entity to anyone in the 70s and early 80s. And quite candidly, the ability to understand that process took quite a while in the market, but major pharmaceutical companies and major DME equipment companies all provided the pull-through to educate the hospitals for that process. And I think as we get older, and I am 68, my references to my mother, God rest her soul, who had lived in Scottsdale with my father. And what we have learned is as you age, you have a propensity to have some critical event like a fall. And we talk about slip and fall all the time. In the hospital, they give you these socks that have some tack to it so you don't fall. But falling is a major event as you get older. And we have determined as you have that episode like my mom did, and she had broken her pelvis and treated it in Scottsdale. When I got to her, we had to make the decision of do we intervene with some sophisticated gluing efforts of her pelvis, or do we let her heal naturally, because she also had complications of mitral valve prolapse. And so for people that don't know what it is, it's diagnosed as a valve that has torn slightly when you were younger and starts to get even worse as you get older, which allows more fluid to your lungs. And at the end of the day, it was to her demise. But the reality for all of us is that we have the ability now to educate hospital chief financial officers, hospital CEOs, which I'm very comfortable with on that level, to enter this new arena as our population has aged, to talk about caregivers, because it is the most difficult way to transition from being healthy to having someone help you go to the bathroom, to dress you, to lose those abilities that we take for granted, like brushing your teeth, and to have someone that truly cares. And we're not just talking about 8 in the morning to 4 in the afternoon. I was enlightened about the care that my mom needed from 6 o'clock and 7 o'clock after being fed to all night. And that is something that we really can provide a service to the population in our country.
You know, you are spot on. And it's interesting because as you talk about C-suite people, you talk about CFOs. And, you know, if we had the CFO, if you would, the economists look at it from our country standpoint, we know that 92% of the people want to stay at home. And we know that we can make home the center of care. I talk about it all the time. You know, with the graying of America, and we're looking at such a rapid rate. We're talking baby boomers, 10,000 a day. We're only 5 years into an 18-year period. When I first got in this business 14 years ago, they talked about comorbidities, and morbidities are diseases. Now we have complex morbidities. We got some really sick people. We don't have enough beds in assisted living. We don't have enough group homes. We don't have enough independent living communities. And it's expensive. Really, really costly to really deliver care in those type of settings. Why not bring them home? And, you know, the biggest challenge we have, Dick, and you talk about Scottsdale. Scottsdale is about 68 miles in diameter. It is huge. I mean, when they built this 101, I mean, who would have ever thought there's 17 or 18 exits for Scottsdale? I mean, there's that many exits. I mean, this is a big, big town and very sprawling. So, I mean, for me, as I look at the future, I really think the future is really maybe bringing a lot of these people that live in these rural areas, and I'm not talking about bringing them into institutions, but having them live more in a village-type setting, where you can provision services. So I can see your mother, and I can see Sharon, your father, and Gerry, I can see your brother or sister, and be able to care for 3 people rather than just one. I mean, I think we need to really figure that one out, because this thing is something that we as a country and our communities just keep kicking that can down the road. And healthcare, as we know, the Affordable Care Act is broken. Healthcare is broken. We got to figure out a way to fix this thing.
We do, and quite candidly, physicians and clinicians in general are affected with more data and analytics to be inputted into their laptops. They rarely have time to actually listen to what you have to say. In the days of my background of pharmacy, the community pharmacist was the pillar of the community where you could get insight. I think that that collaboration has been a bit lost, because now it's fundamentally the discounting program of pharmaceuticals and the mail order approach that we thought was good in the beginning, and now it's lost touch to talking about it. You mentioned the internet. When we ran the Cancer Initiative in 1997, we coordinated care for surgical, medical oncology, and radiation oncology to coordinate the care of what was best for colon, lung, stomach, prostate, and breast. It was the first of its kind to produce a clinical outcome and use the tools that we had, and not hopefully had to wait for some innovation from research and development. We improved care just by coordinating the care. Now, if we can improve cancer care and coordinating it, imagine the benefits of coordinating the care of a family that now is in need of a caregiver, and it's very personal. You're allowing this person into your home, and it is very, very personal to the family member that has to require the care. And I'm with you. I think we are on the threshold of creating a new paradigm of making certain that we have the support to pay for that caregiver, just like the old days when they came to your home and talked about life insurance. You hated it, but you knew sometime you'd have to get it. Exactly. Well, in this case, they have our attention because we have aged, and now we are interested. But we certainly want a professional, first-class caregiving company that can provide us the quality, and really, that's the challenge. Everyone has a definition of what quality is.
Exactly. And you know what? I know we're coming up on a break, and we'll pick up a little bit more on the third segment, but truly, the unsung heroes, and I talk about a lot on the show, are these family caregivers. These family caregivers are making that ultimate sacrifice. And I'm talking about your dad helping out your mom, and I'm talking to many of the dads and moms helping out their spouses. I mean, we often forget about them. And they're the ones that are doing the hard work every single day. It's halftime here at Health Futures. We're up against a break. You're listening to Health Futures. I'm your host, Bob Roth. We'll be right back.
As we reach the bottom of the hour, we pause for a look at the world's news. Then we're back with Money Talk. We're Money Radio 1510 AM and 105.
Federal Reserve Chair Janet Yellen is signaling that the Fed is about to raise interest rates again. And Kate says the action may be less than 2 weeks away.
A rate hike would likely come when central bank policymakers meet March 14th and 15th. The Fed last raised rates in December, only its second rate hike in about a decade.
A Catholic school in the Orlando area getting a visit this afternoon from President Trump, along with Education Secretary Betsy DeVos, a top advocate for school choice and voucher programs. We're expecting to see a St. Louis man arrested for some of the bomb threats against Jewish centers across the U.S. in a federal courtroom this afternoon. Prosecutors identify him as 31-year-old Juan Thompson.
He is just responsible, according to authorities, to some of these threats that were made. But Thompson was picked up in St. Louis this morning. He'll actually be in court a little bit in just a short time.
That's correspondent Bryn Gingras. The Department of Justice halting a review of the Memphis Police Department. The review launched back in October after Memphis citizens criticized the Memphis PD's use of deadly force and treatment of the black community. I'm Michael Toscano.
Welcome to Staples.
Staples guy, I have my own business, so I wear lots of hats. Now I'm wearing my office manager hat because I need supplies.
Well, Staples has everything you need, like paper, ink and toner, the latest tech.
Now I'm putting on my CFO hat because I can't overspend.
And you won't. Right now, save up to 50% on a new office chair.
All my hats, and I would like to thank you.
They are welcome.
Staples. Everything you need for business at great prices. And now save up to 50% on a new office chair during our winter chair event. Ends 3/11/17. Visit staples.com/furniture deals.
At Simple Mobile, we want to make wireless simple, so we won't use any sound effects like to describe our blazing fast network. Simple Mobile offers truly unlimited high-speed data, talk, and text for just $60 a month. Sure, we could use lots of echo to show how bottomless our unlimited high-speed data is, but we won't. Bottom line, we give you more speed and data for less money, because if you want better wireless, the answer's simple. Available at Dollar General, Family Dollar, CVS, and other select national retailers. Savings may vary. Actual availability, coverage, and speed may vary. A month equals 30 days. Please refer always to the latest terms and conditions of service at simplemobile.com.
You're listening to Money Radio, still at 1510 AM, but our FM has moved to 105.3 FM. Check it out.
OneTap, the leader in mobile apps, is growing and needs to hire over 20 outbound sales representatives to promote, sell, and retain business in Arizona. OneTap is looking for detailed-oriented, motivated individuals to join their team in Phoenix. Full and part-time positions are available right now. Full-time employment includes excellent benefits, high commissions, vacation days, and incredible resources and services to set you up for success. If you have exceptional service skills as well as PC and date entry proficiency, call 480-498-8300 or visit them online at onetap.net.
I'm a woman who cares how I look, how I feel, and how I function. I found a place that understands and can help me feel better, function better, and look better. Scottsdale Center for Women's Health.
Hi, I'm Dr. Burt Webb.
And I'm Dr. Russell Bartels. For over 3 decades, we've been Arizona's leading experts on hormone optimization, bladder control, female rejuvenation, decreased sensitivity, painful intercourse, and much more.
We can change your life.
They changed my life. They can change yours. Check out these amazing docs at loveprocedure.com.
Retire and stay retired. Want to learn how? Tune in one of the best retirement shows on the radio anywhere, Mastering Money, now at 8 a.m. and a new time, 6 p.m. Monday through Friday. Listen to wealth manager and Kiplinger contributor Steve Jurich with the Dr. Sinclair No and their great guests. Learn how to keep your financial plan on the road to financial independence. Mastering Money now at 8 and 6 right here on Money Radio AM 1510 and 105.3 FM.
You wouldn't dive into a pool without knowing how deep it is. So why would you dig without knowing what's below? Underground utilities are buried all over Arizona. Accidentally strike one and you could be injured, or wipe out services like water, power, and internet. Call 811 or click Arizona811.com to have utilities marked first. It's free, easy, and it's the law. Remember, call 811 or click Arizona811.com. Sponsored by Arizona 811 in partnership with the Arizona Broadcasters Association and this station.
Are you hiring? Join the over 3 million businesses that use Indeed.com for hiring. Post your next job opening on the world's #1 job site, Indeed.com.
I'm Bruce Vail with Your Money Now. The Boston-based liquidation company Gordon Brothers has won the bankruptcy auction for teen retailer Wet Seal's brand name. The company said it plans to rebuild and reposition the brand for the future. Wet Seal sought bankruptcy protection for a second time earlier this month with plans to sell off its assets. Beauty and personal care products maker Revlon swung to a loss in its latest quarter, hurt by soft sales, foreign exchange headwinds, and restructuring-related costs. After acquiring rival Elizabeth Arden in September, Revlon unveiled a new structure in January that creates 4 global brand teams: Revlon, Elizabeth Arden, Fragrances, and Portfolio Brands. Revlon shares are down 5.5%. The broader market is lower once again. The Dow Jones Industrial Average is down 6 points. The Nasdaq Composite is down 2, and the S&P 500 is off a point. That's Your Money Now.
Thinking about life insurance? What if you could make one free phone call and learn your best price from nearly a dozen highly rated, price-competitive companies? Well, that's exactly what happens when you call SelectQuote Life. For example, George is 40. He was getting sky-high quotes from other companies because he takes meds to control his blood pressure. But when I shopped around, I found him a 10-year, $500,000 policy for under $28 a month. I'm SelectQuote agent Dan Savino. And believe me, if SelectQuote isn't shopping for your life insurance, you're probably paying too much.
For your free quote, call 1-800-244-6060. That's 1-800-244-6060. 1-800-244-6060. Or go to SelectQuote.com. Since 1985, we shop, you save.
Get full details on the example policy at SelectQuote.com/commercials. Your price can vary depending on your health, issuing company, and other factors. Not available in all states.
Now back to Health Futures, taking stock in you. If you have questions about your own or your loved one's future health care, call 602-264-8009. Now, here's your host, Cypress Home Care Solutions, Bob Roth.
Good afternoon. I almost don't want to talk because it's Friday and Bruce Springsteen's coming at you live. Thank you, James. Bringing in our third segment with Bruce Springsteen, and it is wonderful to hear that, but even more wonderful than to have these three individuals here in the studio. I've got Dick Fisher, I've got Sharon Pfeifer, and I've got Gerry Ciszewski, and we are talking about health care. We were talking about family caregiving. We're talking about caregivers, and we're talking about where this whole thing is going. So if you missed the first two segments, go out to our website at cypresshomecare.com. Click on the radio button. You'll catch them, and you'll catch about 150 others we've been bringing to you. But I want to just jump right back in, Dick. You know, I left off talking about the unsung heroes being those family caregivers because they are the ones that are making that ultimate sacrifice. And truly, oftentimes, the adult children and other family members forget about that spouse or that parent that is not challenged but is doing that caregiving. And we know statistically 63% of the time an individual caring for a spouse, one caring for the other that is 65 and older, predeceases the care recipient. The caregiver, that's right, the caregiver passes away. So that is an extremely poignant point that I want to make to our listening audience. So if you know somebody that is receiving care and you know someone that's giving that care, offer to help them. As a matter of fact, don't offer, just do, because they won't take that offer. And Dick, you're a couple years older than me, but your generation, they really took those vows literally in sickness and health, and they don't think they need any help, but they do. They do. They truly do.
Well, I just wanted to finish off, and then I wanted to defer from the financial commitment to Gerry. But the thing that I wanted to say just prior to the break was things seem to continue to escalate to the negative when someone is requiring that caregiver, because most of our families today are two wage earners in a family with children. Now, once that takes place, it gets to the point of brothers and sisters of the provider that needs the caring of that family. But then there's the commitment financially to the colleges, and all of the costs seem to escalate. And we have a lot of folks that have not gotten jobs out of college that are back home. So the financial pressures are significant if you haven't planned or appropriated like we do in our financial work. I mean, 401ks and pension plans. And well, if those are good enough for us, why don't we take a step with the provider, the banker, the attorneys, the accountants, and create a plan when we're also planning for our retirement, just in case of that catastrophic event. So I think, Gerry, from the banking point of view, you play a major role, and I think that's why we're here today.
And speaking of poignant, listen to that, our listening audience. You really need to plan. And Gerry, I'm going to pivot over to you because this is what you do professionally, and you help these families out. So talk to us a little bit about how you do some planning with them.
Well, I think Dick was looking at my notes there.
I think when you look at the average caregiver, statistics that we're finding is that they tend to be female between the ages of 35 and 50. They typically give up their career to take care of an aging parent. And so you start to think, as that flows through to the family, what does that have on a financial impact, as Dick mentioned, about college, about their retirement. Also, you think about the family impact of just being with their immediate family, doing what normal families do. So I think that that's probably the biggest impact you see. The other thing that we look at when we start planning is, as Dick pointed out earlier, people are living longer. So when we're managing investments for clients, we've got to factor in, longevity, living off these assets a lot longer, but also filling the insurance gap from the time they retire to the time that they can start getting onto Medicare or things along those lines. And so it's really like managing those funds, managing for catastrophes. And the other thing I want to point out is, we're focusing on the aging client, but sometimes long-term care is not just for aging parents. It can be for some young adult that was in a car accident or a sports accident or thing like that where they may need some care. So planning is important, and that's becoming more evident in what we do on a daily basis.
Gerry, the longevity of the adult population is now to 78.4 years. And I was saying earlier on the break that unfortunately my family's longevity was not very good. And so we never experienced having caregiving requirements. Good news, bad news. And because of the technologies and all of the implementation of research that we've put together in cancer, I was involved in the first cancer catastrophic policy for Unum and Colonial Insurance during our cancer initiative. For people that could not afford having full insurance, it acted more like term insurance, where you would pay based upon your requirements on an annual basis. But today, we've lived longer. We provide and we practice all of these programs and all these important coverages, and again, the pensions and the process, yet to date, we don't have a professional caregiving policy that can demonstrate the support so that you don't have to juggle when you're 68 years old to find the resources. You've planned for it just like you would in a payroll deduction program when you start your career, whatever it's 21 or 25. And that's really my goal, to work with you, Bob, on the insurance side as well as the hospital side. I happen to have some great relationships with major hospital CEOs around the country, and I think we really need to implement a new strategy.
We need a new strategy, and the other thing that we need, and you and I talked a little bit about this yesterday, is, we have a workforce problem. And the workforce problem isn't just unique to our field, caregiving. We have a workforce problem across the country, and part of it is the aging issue that we got going on. I've talked about it here on the show, and I want our listeners to hear this, but also my guests here today to hear this. There's a guy by the name of Dr. Ken Dykewald. He wrote a great book called The Age Wave 30 years ago and predicted what we're going through right now. And one of the things that he said just recently, which really, hits home, is the fact that 2/3 of this world's population, Mother Earth's population that has ever lived to the age of 65, and again, 2/3 are walking this earth today. So we've never seen anything like this. And home care companies like mine are really challenged with finding workforce. And it's real simple. I mean, the reason why we're having challenge isn't so much that so many are leaving the workforce. It's that the need is growing. And we need to figure out how we can bring more people into this workforce area. One of the challenges that we have as a country is that, one of the lowest paying jobs, and we don't talk about it here on the show, is teachers. And one of the lowest paying jobs here is caregiving. And trust me, I run this home care agency. I've been running it for 14 years. We're going into our 24th year next month. I would love to pay more because these people, these individuals, are so giving of themselves. Very similar to teachers are to kids today. They are molding our kids, and we need caregivers to be able to help our older adults live out their existence.
I agree. And I want to go back to, someone might be listening that would say, why was there such a propensity of aging or older adults falling and slipping, well, there's a cause and effect. From the pharmaceutical end of it, a lot of us are on hypertensive drugs, and sometimes those drugs need to be regulated, and so you could be on a hypertensive drug that made you a little lightheaded, or many times you'll see someone pass out and think they're having a cardiovascular event, but really it's a cause and effect of a drug that has just been initiated by their cardiologist. And so we don't even think about those things until they happen. Right. And we today know so much more on how to keep you breathing and alive, yet we haven't planned for the catastrophic portion of our life.
You said something, I believe it was in the first segment, talked about the community pharmacist, because those guys are the real brilliant people out there, because we have so many complex morbidities that these people have. They're taking the hypertensive drugs, they're taking arthritis drugs, they're taking blood pressure drugs, you name it, and one hand's not talking to the other, and falls happen for that reason. And going back to the caregiver piece, if we plan and these people have enough money, they could pay the caregivers more. And that's the conundrum we've got. We're up against a break. Third segment, we're out. We got one more to go, Dick. You're listening to Health Futures. We'll be right back.
Life Skills Institute would like to invite you to their community awareness and donor reception on Saturday, March 4th at 6 p.m. This free event will be hosted at the Peoria Community Center, and they would love to see you there. You will learn about LSI, how their program is saving taxpayer dollars, and hear firsthand from those that have been impacted by their work. Deputy Chief Benny Pena will be a guest speaker. You don't want to miss being there on March 4th at 6 p.m. at the Peoria Community Center. Please RSVP to Kelly at 602-672-4120.
Hi, I'm Johnny Dean.
And I'm Rick the Professor Plum.
Every day on Bucket Strategy Investing, we're talking about financial planning, investment decisions, and retirement strategies.
We focus on wealth education and the strategy designed for the needs you have today
and the goals you have for the future. Tune in to Bucket Strategy Investing
and call in with questions.
Retirement strategies, taxes, Social Security, and more. That's what we're talking about on Bucket Strategy Investing.
Attention men, if you have tried or wanted to try Viagra or Cialis, or if you've ordered an over-the-counter product in the last few years, Noxitril is an option that is completely private, has received tremendous reviews, and can be at your door in just days. Pharmaceutical companies dislike us because we present a real option to their higher prices and insurance limitations. After years of research, Noxitril has been developed and formulated in U.S. FDA labs, packed with the highest quality potent ingredients. Noxitril is a true breakthrough in male potency. This remarkable all-natural pill is being called Viagra on steroids and is known as a sure winner. So what are you waiting for? Call now and ask how to get your free supply.
Call now and find out how to get a free bottle of Noxitril while supplies last. Call 1-800-993-0730. That's 800-993-0730. Free bottles for a limited time, so call now. 800-993-0730. 800-993-0730.
Life can get a little hectic, so good sleep really matters. With the Beauty Rest Silver mattress, you'll wake up refreshed and ready to go. Embrace the day ahead. Get the sleep you deserve. Get Beauty Rest Silver.
Now back to Health Futures, taking stock in you. If you have questions about your own or your loved one's future health care, call 602-264-8009. Now, here's your host, Cypress HomeCare Solutions, Bob Roth.
Welcome back. You're listening to Health Futures. I'm your host, Bob Roth, and we are on our fourth segment. Dick Fisher, I got Sharon Pfeifer, and Gerry Ciszewski. This goes by fast, doesn't it? I mean, it does fly. When you're having fun, and we are having fun right here in the Scottsdale Air Park Money Radio Studios. We're talking about healthcare. We're talking about caregiving. We're talking about breaking some of these paradigms that are out there. And you know what? We don't have answers or cures yet for the healthcare conundrum that we have in our country. But we are identifying some of the challenges and some of the, let's call it leaky buckets that we have, and we've got to address them. And when we left our third segment, We were talking about a shortage of workforce. We were talking about an aging demographic. And you, Dick, we're talking about the pharmacists, the local pharmacists. And that's the way we closed, because those guys are the real brilliance, the genius, because we have so many people right now that are having complex morbidities that need lots of medications. And I said it at the top of the hour, one of the biggest challenges we have is healthcare is really not healthcare, it's sick care. And we need to promote healthy living. And while we can't really change the generation that we've got right now that are unhealthy, we can certainly change the children and the young adults today to live healthier lives so they can not be a drain on our economy and a drain on the healthcare system as they are.
I think so. I think the millennials today have an advantage. We say millennial, meaning 21 to 30 or 35 years old. I have a daughter. She's an attorney in New York. My son's a United Airlines 767 transatlantic pilot. They use the technology in such a sophisticated way. We have the ability to start to educate them. They're in tune to pension, 401k, IRAs, Roths. They are all interested in their future, and no one's talking to them from a banking point of view, from an insurance point of view, from an accounting point of view, of who is going to supplement care for your mother or father, or even, God forbid, for someone in your family that had an experience, like Gerry said, in a catastrophic way. But the pharmacist, I grew up in probably one of the finest companies in the world, Baxter Laboratories, and I was a pharmacy IV central admixture marketing manager. And we watched the pharmacists come from the hospital basement up to the main floor, to the floors prescribing for physicians on a clinical level. We thought home care and we thought mail order pharmacy and drive up pharmacy windows were very important, but they've turned out to be even a more difficult way for us to understand the medications we're taking when you're watching your budget and you're on a monthly budget, and Medicare was 0.3% increase for most of us. How in the world can you afford to go to a traditional pharmacy, because they have to make their living, yet we're getting our medications from the mail and there's no one to really tell you, and who can read all those contraindications on that tear sheet? We need to evaluate what we've done and what we need today. And what we need today is a coordinated effort. The primary care physician, the geriatric physician is key to managing going forward this process. Dollars and cents, hospitals are being pushed to discharge you as soon as possible. The government is finding ways. Since the Obamacare program was incorporated, hospitals are owed over $8 billion for the risks that they have taken.
Wow.
$8 billion. They are going to lose over $1 trillion of cash flow of all the outpatient clinics, the radiation oncology centers, the outpatient rehab centers. They now have to look for new alternatives for financing and paying for the services. And it is I call it the bagel model. We're the cream cheese, and the payers are pushing on the top end, and the care and hospital side is pushing on the bottom, and we're the cream cheese coming out of both sides.
We're oozing out.
Yes, we are.
We are oozing out. You know, I want to unpack a couple things that you talked about, because they're all really important as we talk about healthcare going forward. You know, first of all, you know that we have older adults that are living on fixed incomes. And you talk about pharmacy. And yes, many of them are doing mail order pharmacy because they can get it cheaper than they can go to the local pharmacist. And the real challenge that we have with our older adults is that they have to make a determination. Are they going to have food, or are they going to take their medicine? And that's a challenge. I mean, how do we fix that? Because some of these medications they're paying for are costing them $700 a month, $1,700 a month, $2,500 a month. It just doesn't make sense. And then some of them, you know, go and take a different one because they can get it for maybe 10% less. But that the effect of that pharmaceutical drug is very different from the one they should be taking.
And I come from all 3 points of the paradigm.
Right.
I come from a manufacturing, over-the-counter, and generic drug manufacturing of Walgreens. I was the CEO. I come from the healthcare industry side. I come from the Wall Street investment banking side for hospital groups. And I also come from the payer side to pay for the care.
Right.
And quite candidly, we've done really well on providing the longevity of our care. But on the other hand, we have not planned at all for the responsibilities of getting older. And really, if I was able to get a significant insurer like we did for catastrophic cancer, the first thing I would want to create is an urgent care type policy for the millennials, a long-term caregiving policy that they could start paying now for caregiving, and most importantly, provide pharmacists the ability to have a relationship to talk to folks, because we learned in our cancer initiative, and we won the Blue Cross Blue Shield Award for innovation in 2000 by Blue Cross Blue Shield Highmark. We've learned that 50% of the information on the internet at that time was incorrect. And yet, the moment my wife has a malady, she goes to the internet and she has 35 diseases.
Right.
And I have to remind her, because I do have a clinical background, that you got about 12 minutes now until you're going to say goodbye. Because if anyone had all those maladies, your last breaths will be very short.
You know, my wife has a great saying. Susie says to me when I do exactly that, and you look it up and you're like, oh my goodness, that's me. She says to me, she goes, you're psychoceramic. Do you know what psychoceramic is?
Tell me.
A crackpot. A crackpot.
That's great.
You know, I want to close because we're getting really close here to the end. You know, I love your passion, Dick, for healthcare, and I love your passion for caregiving, and that's the space that we're in. And, you know, it was once said there are 4 types of caregivers. There's those that have been caregivers, those who are currently caregivers, those who will be caregivers, and those who will need caregivers. It's such it's a industry, or it's a field, it's a service that everybody will experience in one way or another. And we as a country have to respect this. We have to make it available, and we have to realize home will be the center of care. I've got to say goodbye. Dick Fisher, Sharon Pfeifer, Gerry Ciszewski, thank you very much. Make it a great day. Have a great weekend. I got JFCS on next Friday. Talk to you later.
There's no place like home. You've been listening to Bob Roth's Health Futures. If you have questions about your own or your loved one's future health care, call Cypress HomeCare Solutions at 602-264-8009. That's 602-264-8009. Or visit CypressHomeCare.com. Be sure to join Health Futures with Bob Roth every Friday at noon, right here on Money Radio 1510 and 105.3 FM.
Sometimes diabetes can feel more like don't-abetes. Don't do this, don't forget that. But with a little help from Walgreens, diabetes won't slow you down. Stop by for expert pharmacy care in-store or online via pharmacy chat. Pick up the medications you rely on and get savings on testing supplies from all major brands like Accu-Check and Walgreens True Metrics. Walgreens has just what you need to do more with diabetes. Walgreens, at the corner of happy and healthy.
Money Radio 1510 and 105.3 FM.
KFNN Mesa Phoenix and K287BX Mesa. Of all the radio stations in the Valley that focus strictly on money, it turns out we're the only one, and be sure to tell your friends about us. The Dow is up 11 points at 21,014. The S&P down just slightly, 2381. NASDAQ is up a point at 5863.
When people want to talk about money, this is the place they come to. And there's more on the way after this break for the latest news. And we begin